buy that for $1.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Pickups video, $1 edition. It's been quite a long time since I've done a video that had items that were purchased for less than $1. So I've kind of collected these items over the last couple months, and I wanted to put them all together in one video, and I felt that I got to the point where I found enough items that I could share with you, the viewer. So I'm just going to jump right in, and I'll start with these. And I'll show you these guys in the background here. We're just going to zoom out. And these are two plush stuffed animals. I don't even know what to call them. Plush figure. That's what it says at the bottom. Of Tony Parker, formerly of the San Antonio Spurs, and Paul Goldschmidt of the Arizona Diamondbacks, now the St. Louis Cardinals. But I went to an antique mall in Missouri, and I went into a booth where it was one of those booths that said everything's $1. And they had probably about 10 or 11 different plush toys there. And I saw these and I'm like, well, I don't want to buy one of each, you know. That's just too, I mean, I really don't have room for plush toys in my collection. So I chose to buy Paul Goldschmidt, who's currently a Cardinal, and Tony Parker, who is a former San Antonio Spur, which is one of my favorite teams. They had, I would say, if I recall, it's been a while since I bought these. They've been sitting in a bag in my room for the longest time, but they had a lot of hockey ones there. I want to say there was probably like 5 different hockey players there, and they weren't big time names. You know, there was no Sidney Crosby or anything like that there. So I passed on the hockey immediately. I want to say that Goldschmidt was the only baseball one there. And I want to say there was a couple other basketball players, but they really didn't spark my interest like the Tony Parker. So those both were $1 a piece. I thought those were pretty cool to add to my collection, and we'll move on to the next items. Now these next two things I'm going to show you actually were one sports related and one is not, and these were 50 cents a piece. And this is Ozzie, the movie. And this was produced, I want to say, locally in Missouri. And it's a VHS. I have yet to pop it in and watch it. A Lawrence Miller movie. That's what it says. So this is the original VHS. And I want to see if there's a copyright on there. It says 1987. So I'm going to pop this in the VHS player, and you may be seeing this in a future VHS Vault video in the upcoming future. So stay tuned. So along with that, that was 50 cents, so I had to round up to make it an even $1. And I picked up, this one's kind of funny, Skid Row, Ozzie, Can You Scream? And this is a VHS from, I don't see a copyright, from 1990 with Skid Row. And I'm not sure if this is, yeah, here's the recordings and the songs that they play. At what location on the back. And it's got most of their hits on there. Youth Gone Wild, I Remember You. I don't see 18 in Life. Oh, there's 18 in Life at the bottom. So not a live version. So I'm going to pop this in, and unfortunately I cannot obviously stream this on my YouTube channel. I'm sure there's tons of copyright laws that would prohibit me from doing that. So we'll put the Ozzie Smith on there possibly, but definitely the Skid Row with copyright protection. I definitely probably cannot do that. So very cool to add those to the collection. Now that same day that I was heading home, and I just want to rewind a little bit. I bought all this stuff pretty much in the same day, and I decided to stop at a pawn shop. Very rarely do I go into a pawn shop and find cards? You know, most of the time it's guns, you know, used DVDs, video games, you know, stuff like that. Occasionally comic books, but mainly stuff I really don't want. But there was a tub of cards, and it said 50 cents a piece. So I'm like, you know, for 50 cents a piece, I'll go through them. So I started shuffling through them, and these weren't in any order whatsoever. Some had top loaders, some had soft sleeves, some didn't. But I focused on most of the ones with top loaders because my experience is usually people put stuff in top loaders for a reason. And this is what I found for 50 cents a piece. Got the McGuire 87 Donruss, not in bad shape. This is a 1990 Leaf of new Hall of Famer Larry Walker. This is a 93 Upper Deck Then and Now hologram of Nolan Ryan. This is a, I don't know what year that is. This is a turkey red Ryan Howard, and I'm not too familiar with newer cards, but this could be like a promo. I'm not really sure, or a variant or some sort, but it's card number 1. So I thought, you know, that there's something different about that card. Plus, I think it's a pretty neat card if I ever see Ryan, you know, in person again, because I've seen Ryan a couple times in person. I'll ask him to sign that because it's just a really nice card to get signed. And for the last 2 that I picked up 2 second-year Albert Pujols on the Topps 206, and I'm not sure if that's the variation one, because that year they did variants. I don't know if he had a variant that year, but that still lists him as a third baseman. That's how long ago that was. And this is actually him, it appears to be playing third base. So I thought for 50 cents a piece, you know, not a bad pickup, not the greatest. You know, it would have been nicer to get them for cheaper, but for 50 cents, not bad at all. All right, so this is random. This is kind of promoting a new movie that just came out, Bloodshot with Vin Diesel. And I was going through some comic books, and I found Bloodshot #1 with an original cover price at $3.50. And there are some, you know, cosmetic, you know, damages to this. You know, there's a few scratches on this chromium cover or whatever that's called. And, you know, I thought, hey, for $1, I'll buy it for $1. You know, let's see what this hype about this new movie is all about. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a big Bloodshot reader. I enjoy reading comic books, but this is actually not a bad story. You know, I picked up, you know, issue #1, and I must say, if I come across, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, I might purchase them for $1 each or less, you know, just so I can continue reading the storyline. This is actually not a bad comic book, so if you get a chance to pick up Bloodshot #1, I highly recommend it. It's a good read. Alright, so finally, you guys know that I'm a pretty avid reader when it comes to sports books. You know, that's how I get a lot of ideas for a lot of my videos, especially when I do some of the narrative videos that I do on my channel. But these are some pretty unique books, and being we are all kind of in a situation right now where we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and basically I'm quarantined. I'm reliant on myself to make my own paycheck. I've been able to comfortably be able to say, you know what, I don't need to work, I need to stay home. Now that only lasts for so long because you got to pay the bills, but luckily I'm not somebody that has to rely on a job day in and day out. So I'm able to stay home, which allowed me to get John Wooden's book. I never have read this before. I bought this for, I want to say $1 at a library, and even if you know, I kind of thumbed through it, and the previous owner even underlined some passages in the book, and it's a, you know, it's a pretty short looking read, you know, and I just started picking up and reading it, and you know, I'm going to go outside, maybe sit out on the porch and read it, you know, for a few minutes every day, along with some other books that I've recently picked up. So this one, this is the second copy of this book that I have, and this is the Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa Race for the Record book. And this actually, as I was walking out of the library, and this has again been a few months, this is before everything was shut down, I picked this up and it was only a quarter. So here's the added bonus. Inside was and as you can see, there is, you know, like it's a former library book or something. Inside is randomly a 1994 St. Louis Cardinals team photo that was shoved in the inside of this book. So this book, we're going to move these guys back so I can flip through here a little better. This chronicles the home run chase of 1998. And yes, I know, steroids, I get it. But still, it's a nice little picture book to put on the bookshelf if you ever want to go back and, you know, just relive those memories. You know, talking about Maris, you know, it's a real easy read. You know, it's basically set up for children from the looks of it. But I thought for a quarter for the book and the St. Louis Cardinals 94 team photo, couldn't pass that up. So finally, at the same library, I believe, this is what I picked up. And it is, according to the Sporting News, the 100 greatest baseball players of the century. So I think, and as you can see, there's the library mark in it again. Originally, this book cost $29.95 back in the day, and it ranks the top players of the century up until 1999 or 2000 or whatever. So I'm assuming 2000. That's Ripken on the back. But I'm just going to kind of show you the nice big open pages here of ranking the players. And, you know, it has a write-up on each one. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you leave some comments down below, we can go through this book page by page, and we can maybe talk about who you think should be number one, etc., etc., the great debate. I think this would be a good time to pass the time, you know, with what's been going on and everything else. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You know, with the Tony Parker and Paul Goldschmidt. Pay no attention to the cat food bowl behind me there. And these books, Race for the Record, and John Wooden, and of course the cards that I picked up, along with the Ozzie Smith VHS. Let's not forget Skid Row. Can't forget them. And of course, Bloodshot #1. So unfortunately, Bloodshot, I think, hit the movie theaters right before everybody was quarantined. So I'm not really sure if this is going to do very well in the box office, for the simple fact that with the movie theaters closed, people can't go see the movie. But again, I recommend picking up Bloodshot #1. It's not a bad read. It's a very good comic from Valiant back in the day. And I thank you very much for joining me for another episode. I look forward to your comments below. Thanks.